Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. This is where accounting professionals just like you come to learn all the most efficient, powerful, abundant ways to grow their firm, sharpen their sales skills, and have consistent, increasing revenue year over year. I cover topics from pricing, sales, networking, objections, ideal clients, some marketing ideas, and really about how to increase your cash flow and profitability and set boundaries so you have the firm that you've always dreamt of. You're no longer giving away your time for free. You're no longer putting yourself on sale, and you are being paid for the value and worth that clients actually appreciate you for. So you'll learn tips and strategies as well as hear personal interviews from successful accounting professionals. This podcast will show you exactly how to create the firm of your dreams and the life full of abundance. Welcome to the Abundant Accountant Podcast. Today, yep, you guessed it, we have another special guest. Our special guest is a content creator. She is also the 40 Under 40 CPA Practice Advisor recipient, Ignition Top 50 Women in Accounting in 2021, and she's also the owner of Leaders Online. Leaders Online helps accounting and technology professionals increase their impact, influence, and income through leadership and digital marketing. So she has a digital marketing agency. But before we welcome our special guest to the show, if you are feeling underpaid and overworked in your firm, make sure to keep listening. No matter what's happening in your firm right now, I do know it's 100% possible to work with fewer clients, work fewer hours, and get paid a lot more money. And I know that all around you, there's accountants, CPAs, bookkeepers who are working long hours with lots of clients who are probably scratching their heads wondering, why do they grind 14 or more hours a day, yet have little to nothing in their bank accounts to show for it? But that is not how we do things here at the Abundant Accountant. We show you how to create the firm you have always wanted, bring the revenue that you desire, and serve only the clients that you choose, who are also happy to pay you premium fees, and also have the time to do the other things that you're passionate about. So if you're ready to make a change and start creating the firm of your dreams when you started this firm, book a call with me and my team right now at theabundantcall.com, and we can walk you through step by step the game plan on what needs to get done so you can have the firm of your dreams. Once again, theabundantcall.com. And now let's welcome our special guest, Katie Thomas, to the show. Welcome, Katie, to the show.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here with us today on the Abundant Accountant Podcast. It's an honor to have you here and for you to take out the time to be here with us. And before we get started, Katie, can you share with everyone what it is that you do and what you've created? I've already done your bio, but I always think it's more powerful to come directly from you.
Yeah, so I am a CPA, but I'm also the owner of a digital marketing agency where we help accounting professionals and tech companies increase their impact, influence, and income through digital marketing. And I'm not sure how far back you want me to go, but I'm happy to dive into how I went from CPA to where I'm at today.
Yeah, I think a little short story on that would be very interesting for the listeners. And maybe also defining what is a digital marketing agency for those that don't really know what that means. I think that would be really great as well.
Yeah, of course. So I actually got started back in marketing and sales way before I got into accounting. And that was when I learned about websites, copywriting, sales skills, all that fun stuff. And then when it came time to go to college, get a degree, I knew I'd end up in the business world, and I was incredibly fascinated with entrepreneurships. I actually had a dream of becoming a business owner, which, of course, unfortunately, that's not a degree in college. You can't just say, I want to be a business owner and get a degree. So I remember just asking around, like, okay, what should I do? And I felt like all the smart people were saying, okay, accounting is the language of business, and it's a great degree to have. So I thought, let me try accounting. I took my first class. I loved it. Fast forward, I had my degree, and once you have your degree, it led me down this path of, well, I might as well get my CPA, and so I passed my exams, and then, of course, to actually be licensed, you have to fulfill working requirements, and so I found myself working for one of the big four companies. And while I did like my experience there, my love for marketing never went away. And it was interesting because I noticed that even at one of the largest firms, I'd have conversations with managers, senior managers, and even some of the partners, and they'd mention how they were either nervous to start having to do business development,
Yeah.
or if they were responsible for that business development, they would talk about how they didn't like it, or they didn't feel prepared for it, they didn't have the tools and resources. So I got this hypothesis. I was like, okay, if the big firms are feeling this way, the accountants there, how do the accountants at all these other firms feel? And so I just left with this hypothesis that if, these big four accountants are struggling, I bet there are a lot of smaller firm accountants struggling, and I could combine my love of marketing with my experience in the industry and knowledge of the accounting industry to help firms out. So that's how I got to where I'm at today. And we work with accountants that range from quite small firms. So maybe it's just a partner and a few staff, all the way up to firms in the top 100, as well as accounting tech providers. So
Wonderful.
it's a lot of fun. And I feel lucky to wake up and do something that I love to do every single day. It's exciting.
That is exciting. And I think, I help on the sales side of the conversion, but unless you have the leads and the prospects to communicate to, it will be really hard to increase revenue. So I think, bringing digital marketing to the world of accounting and tax firm owners is really, really important. And I know you have a process that we're going to talk about today, and we're going to dive into that. But if you were to say, Katie, if you could just, I think it's always important to get other people's input on it. But for you, the difference between sales and marketing and the world of digital marketing and how that supports the marketing side of the business more so than the actual collecting on the money side, even though they do go hand in hand. What's your take on what you do on the digital marketing side and how the sales are different than marketing in a firm?
Yeah, so marketing is more so about spreading awareness of your services, creating demand for your services, and putting essentially offers out there. And this can look like a wide range from they don't know you, so you're just introducing them to your firm and what you can do. You're creating that demand to actually calling them to action. And there's an overlap between sales and marketing that they have to work together, but marketing can't fix your sales problems and sales can't fix your marketing problems. They're both essential and they complement one another, but they're separate. You need both.
Yep. Great. Love it. I think that's just really good to get that distinction out now. So with the digital marketing agency that you have and working with big firm owners, small firms, one-man shows to one man and a few people in the firm, what are the 4 steps of the process that someone should get started with when they're ready to, like you said, start spreading awareness and creating demand for their different services that they might offer in their accounting or tax firm?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is a process that I actually came up with whenever I started my marketing agency, because what I found is even with professional experience working in marketing, whenever you go out to start something new, what do? You go to Google and you're like, okay, what's the best, the greatest, the latest? How am I going to get this going? And so as soon as I typed in this question to Google, like, how to start your marketing agency, it's like, oh my gosh, there's an arm and a leg full of results. And again, even with this experience in marketing, it's like, okay, well, what's the best for me? At that time, no one knew me. I didn't have a following, but I knew I had to start getting visible by ideal clients if I wanted to actually have a business. And so when I got down to the nitty gritty, it was like, okay, well, I could pay to get in front of people with ads, which that does work. But when you're just getting started, usually you have more time than money. I could do email marketing, but I didn't have an email list. I could post on social media, but again, I didn't have any following. I could do blogging. This takes a lot of time and maybe at that point my mom would read it. So I was really stuck, and I was like, okay, well, I need a process where I can start bringing in leads, and it can't take years to see results, and it can't cost an arm and a leg. And so this is when I stumbled upon this 4C process. And the cool thing about it is that anyone can use it. It doesn't matter if you have a big audience, a small audience, if you have a lot of money, if you're like really constricted, or if algorithms change. It works. And so we can go ahead and just dive into that now.
Yeah, let's do it. What's the first step?
All right. So the first step is going to be to choose the platform you want to be on. And when it comes to choosing your social media platform that you want to be on, there are really three things that you want to ask yourself. So question one is, where does I'm going to call them your target market,
ideal client.
Yeah, your niche. Where does this person hang out? And where they're hanging out might be a lot of places. But if you think about maybe they're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, the next question you want to think about is, on those platforms that they're hanging out, where can you easily reach them? Because, for example, if they're watching YouTube, it's kind of hard on YouTube to actually go out and search for these people. So you want to make sure that you can actually find them. They're congregating somewhere. You can search for them. Something allows you to actually find them. And then the third thing is, what platform plays to your strengths? So let's say that you're like, okay, well, I can easily find my ideal client on Facebook and I can find them on Instagram. Cool. But maybe if for you really don't like taking photos or posting videos, then it's like, you should use Facebook, because Instagram, it's a visual platform, and Facebook, it supports you just writing textual posts. LinkedIn, super common for accountants because they can really easily locate key decision makers. But if you don't like LinkedIn, don't use it.
Yeah.
So you've got to choose your platform. And I always recommend just pick one and go all in. You can always expand over time, but you want to master one before you try to move on to the next one. So I always say it's easier to boil a pot of water than it is to boil an ocean. You want to just get started on one and really hone your craft.
And what did you do? What did you go all in on? And when you were figuring this out and saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to help accounting firm owners I'm going to create my digital marketing agency, but helping tech people and accounting firm owners. Like, where did you go all in on?
I chose LinkedIn because of the fact I could find my ideal clients, and I really found that it was a great platform. Whenever I started, this is 5 years ago, no one was really posting videos. And so I found that my content was able to reach a lot of people, and LinkedIn still allows content creators to have that nice reach of content, but you'll notice over time, platforms kind of start to dilute their self and their reach. So for example, right now, TikTok, people can grow really, really fast on TikTok.
Yeah.
So yeah, I picked LinkedIn, but again, anyone can choose whatever platform they want. People are all over social media. So just figure out what works best for you by going through those three questions, and then make sure you take a little bit of time to update your profile picture. If it's not a professional looking headshot, you don't want it to be, of course, blurry or distracting.
Mm-hmm.
If there's a banner photo needed, you can use Canva to update that to be branded to you, and then make sure it's really clear who you help and how you help them, whether this is in your tagline, bio, wherever, whatever platform you're using, you want to optimize it to help whoever you're connecting with understand what you do.
Okay. Awesome. What's the second thing, Katie? After we choose the platform and go all in on it and update our backgrounds and photos and all the other fun things that we need to do to make it look really professional.
Yeah, so just having that platform chosen, it's not enough. You actually have to go out and connect with your ideal clients, connect with your who's. And there's a variety of ways you can do this. So one, you can find people directly. For example, LinkedIn, they make this super easy. You can actually say, okay, I work with nonprofits in Florida. I always connect with the decision maker. You can just go through filters, say use Sales Navigator, and find these people directly. Now, another thing you can do, which I have seen so much success with, especially for accountants, is actually leverage influencer audiences. So determine who already holds the attention of these people that you're trying to connect with. So, for example, we worked with a firm who he was niched in working with online health coaches. And so we went out and we identified a few business coaches for these online health coaches. And we got him connecting with that influencer, those influencers, and then also their audience. And so he was able to just go right to the source, and those people have already built the time to build up this audience. And so you can look at this kind of twofold. If you already have, you can see who's in their audience, and then you can also say, okay, maybe there's a way that you can collaborate with that influencer, that person holding the attention of the audience. That's such a powerful strategy.
Yeah. And for an accounting firm owner, if you're working with health coaches, like what are a few examples, Katie, of how that person was able to contribute and go in kind of through the back door and leverage that audience that was already built?
Yeah.
How did they make some collaborations?
Yeah, that's a great question. This business coach for health coaches, they were helping those health coaches build their business. And so as an accountant, you're like, hey, I'm a key piece of you building your business. I'm helping you understand your finances, set aside money for taxes, understand your profit margins, where maybe you need to cut expenses. Or they worked with them on recalibrating what's their team members. These health coaches were hiring on new team members and like what they should be paying them. There's so much that goes into these health coaches businesses, or any business owner, when it comes to growing your business. So if you can identify someone who holds the attention of your niche, especially if it's related to them growing their business, like a business coach, you're aligning in your goals already. Those people that are in that audience, they want to grow their business and you can help them.
Yep. So is there any messages that you think could work as a firm owner listening right now wants to reach out to a certain business coach or something just like along your idea that you're sharing right now? I think it's a really good one. And it's probably the least amount of time for someone who's not really too keen on social media, possibly, to gain the interest of that health coach based, like what you said. I'm the most, CPA is one of the most important parts of any coaching business or any business in general. Did you see any certain emails or messages that were sent that worked real well?
Yeah, just, people always want to connect with accountants. People are curious about how it works, whether it's accounting, bookkeeping, taxes, cash flow management. So if you can reach out to these people, just reach out to them with honesty, like, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's who I'm helping. Here's some of the things we help them with. Like, would you be interested in exploring if there are ways that I could serve you and your group? So maybe you offer, right now it's tax time, you offer to do a webinar about how they can review their expenses over the past year and talk about some things they might not be thinking about including on their return. Or maybe it's, the middle of the summer. Hey, here are some things you can do to get back on track if you aren't reaching your goals, or some things you should be thinking about as we're, heading towards the end of Q2. You can come up with some ideas based upon the timing of the year that you're seeing your niche or your ideal clients struggle with. Take that to the industry leader, like, hey, here's how maybe we could help them through this, and just lead with a servant mindset, and you'll be shocked at, what can return. Don't go into it trying to just make a sale or, not actually develop a relationship, but to serve. And most people would love to have an accountant come into their group and provide value.
I agree 100%. And I think it's a very great idea and an amazing way to, achieve step number 2, which is connect. What would be the third step in the process for a firm owner who's, really looking for some quality leads?
Yeah, so you've actually got to go out and talk to people. Now, we kind of talked about this from finding that influencer, but if you're going directly to the people, then you're also going to have to talk to them. I always say, imagine if you walked into a cocktail party, you knew no one, you stood in the corner, what would happen? probably nothing. So you actually have to go out and talk to people and start building relationships. And again, you have a few options of how you can do this. You can just start a conversation in the direct message. And it's funny, Michelle. It's like people forget that they've been starting conversations with people their whole life, and they're like, what do I say?
Yeah.
So I always recommend just remember that people love to talk about themselves. So if you can do a little bit of research on them, ask them a question about their self, people usually love to reply. And if all else fails, you can ask them about what they're working on or if they have goals that they're looking to achieve this year. People are really receptive to just, hey, I came across your page and I'm curious, what led you to start your business? It just opens up the door. So just try to start a conversation with them. And you can also use like groups. For example, you might even see people posting online. We didn't talk about this in the last C for connection, but you can like use groups. People will post online, I'm looking for an accountant. So you could comment back to them and say, hey, I checked out your website. I love what you do and would love to learn a little bit more about exactly what you're looking for in an accountant, plus share some ideas with you. Can I send you a direct message? Simple as
And
that.
I think that kind of goes with step 3, which is talking to people, because commenting on people's groups, but I think it goes back to your first step is you need to choose where you're going to hang out. So if Facebook is your platform, then doing the Facebook groups and commenting and being, like you said, coming from a servant mindset and being just forward with serving and helping, people need you. I always talk about how all the firm owners are the most valuable asset to any business owner and the number one priority of the team that a business owner should have in their back pocket.
Exactly. Yep. And you can even take a more personal approach. Let's say you're on Instagram. It's, hey, Sam, I came across your Instagram and I noticed, you have 2 kiddos that look like around my kids' age. They're adorable. How old are they? They're going to look at that message. And if your profile is set up right, they're going to come to it, understand what you do. And if they need your help, they can ask about it. So it's just starting that conversation.
Yeah. Starting the convo and seeing where it goes and making sure you have a good follow-up process in place, I would say, is the other thing to make sure. You can't just reach out once. I'm sure that when you're, conversing after you connect with someone and after you choose where you're going to see them, follow-up, I don't know if you have a C word for follow-up, but is really, really important.
Yes, especially even if they say that they're interested, depending on what CRM you use, maybe you're even just tracking it in Excel right now. You want to make sure that these people don't just say, okay, great, I'll grab a time on your calendar or I'll send you an email. However, you're having people take that next step. Set a reminder to actually see, did they do this a week later? If not, you need to check back in with them. We kind of talked about, you have to choose your platform. You have to go connect with people. You have to talk to them. And then this 4th step is where a lot of people try to put the cart before the horse. It's create content. You hear this a lot where people are like, I've been posting on social media and nothing's happening. And it's because if you haven't taken the time to build an audience or engage with them, let people get to know you, then just creating content, you're hoping that it just goes viral, which that can happen, but it doesn't happen often. And so really our content's there to support when those people come to our profile. We want them to know what we do and that we do it well. So we want to demonstrate our expertise, answer common questions, build the know, like, and trust. And that's really what your content should do. But I'm always hesitant to even talk about content because it's like you can't just say, okay, I'm doing social media to, gain access to new clients or to build relationships, but you spend your whole time creating content. It really has to come last.
When you're creating this content and maybe you have a solution, one of the biggest complaints I hear from all my clients, even to this day, is, I just need more time in the day. I need more than 24 hours in a day. So I'm going to guess, Katie, that you've heard a lot of firm owners say, I just don't have the time to do all this. What would you suggest for them?
So you have to decide what's important to you. Now, maybe you're at a place where you don't have the time, but you have the resources, and you can either outsource this social media process or your content creation to someone who's really good at understanding your business, your voice, how you like to communicate. That's
Mhm.
great. But if you're someone who's like, well, I'm not quite there yet, then it goes back to like, what are your priorities? And creating content is actually going to help you in your sales process. I firmly believe that because you become more confident about what you're speaking about or writing about, and it helps you further hone your craft. So if you're short on time, and this is important and you have to do it yourself, then put it on your calendar. Maybe give yourself 20 minutes 3 times a week that you're going to dedicate to. One of those 20-minute sessions is coming up with topics, and the other two, it's like, okay, I'm going to crank out 2 posts in each of them. You don't need to be posting every single day even, but there needs to be enough content that if someone comes to your page, you're clearly still active. So even 3 times a week, like don't try to just burn yourself out. And that goes back to also not trying to be on every platform, but if it's important to
Yeah, you're
you,
going all in on one.
right. And if growing your business is important to you, then you have to prioritize it.
Mm. Yep. And I think it's always like that, the priority. So, can you share a story with us, Katie, of a client that you took this through, an accounting or tax firm owner? They were maybe, one or two man show, what they did, what they implemented on all four C's. So if you need a refresher of what the four C's are, Katie can share it, but choose the platform you're going to be on, connect, converse, and talk to the people. You can't just go to the cocktail party and stand in the corner, and then put a plan to create your content. So, she's suggesting 3 blocks on your calendar, 20 minutes each. One day you're creating a plan, and the other 2 days you're actually posting and educating and connecting and creating content. So when that exact ideal client, your who of who, finds you, they see that you are active and you are engaged. So, do you have a story, Katie, of a firm owner that did this exact process using the four C's, and what kind of results they got in their firm and how it helped them generate enough leads to convert them eventually into revenue?
Yeah, so we can use that health coach.
Okay.
To focus on health coaches. He was around the 10K a month recurring mark. And what happened after he went through this process was he got a few of his ideal clients just by focusing on connecting directly. But from those ideal clients, he got some good testimonials that he could then, share as social proof whenever he was going to the more influencers. So the 3 month mark, he had worked with some health coaches and he was like, hey, here's some people I'm working with. Can I
Mm-hmm.
serve your group? And then his business blew up. So over the next 6 to 8 months, he was doing 80K a month.
Wow.
And that's all because he went all in. This was done through Facebook and really just leveraging the power of focusing on those conversations, connecting with them, and then creating that content as kind of the loop, the final piece of the process. But it wasn't like he was on a hamster wheel just creating content all the time. That was like the last piece.
He probably
And
realized what content he needed just from all the questions that all the health coaches were asking.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And something that's really important to note as part of this is you don't have to stay, using this organic process forever. You can definitely run paid ads, they work, have an email list that you're sending emails to, do all the other things.
Yep.
Those all work, but this is always in your back pocket to go back to if you want to, have a more just organic strategy, or maybe you just want to add a few more leads to your pipeline. This is always there
Mm-hmm.
for you.
No, I love it. And I think it is brilliant. And for the listeners out there, I think a lot of you know that that's how I started this whole business was, contributing my sales expertise to other communities with that you and I have met at maybe, be it Profit First or through Tax Rep Network or through Certified Tax Coach, any of those communities. And I think what your gentleman did with the health coaching aspect, and I'm going to guess he took over a lot of the bookkeeping for all these health coaches. If he went from $10,000 a month to about $80,000 a month in revenue, reoccurring revenue, that's monthly services of some sort, or maybe it was CFO services or just accounting and bookkeeping. But
Yep.
it's a great way. And I think once you figure out, choose where you want to hang out, be it Facebook or LinkedIn or Instagram, and just really figure out who is that person you truly want to work with, that makes you really excited and happy. So Katie, thank you so much for being here and sharing this with us today. Is there anything else that you want to share that maybe we didn't get into yet that you're like, I need to share this before we go today?
Yeah, really quickly here, I think it's important to say that social media, it's not just for attracting clients. This is also really important for you to help attract staff, get access to speaking gigs, build your network in general, find mentors, and even make new friends. So the opportunities are really endless, but again, it requires you to actually be social. So more than just scrolling. No, you have to get off the scroll.
Yeah.
So if you want different results, you need to take a different action. And following this 4C process can really help.
Well, thank you so much for being here with us today on The Abundant Accountant. This was a fun conversation and very needed. And I think, I don't know what your client's name was, the person that reached out to the health coaches, but we'll call him the Health Coach King, CPA, CPA King Health Coach firm, and look at what he's created. It doesn't take that much effort. It takes consistency. And if you want different results and if you want to increase revenue and increase your reach, you have to do something different, like Katie said. So thank you again for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Michelle. I really appreciate it.
Thank you all so much for joining Katie and I today on another amazing episode of the Abundant Accountant podcast. And I just love how the Health Coach King, we'll call him CPA, what really went all in and served. He not only had a servant mindset, but delivered value to a lot of people. A health coach doesn't know what to do with their books, with their accounting. They need guidance. And people like myself or Denise, my business partner, or any entrepreneur, they all need you in their corner. Now it's time for you to choose which platform you're going to be on and go find somebody. And like I was sharing with Katie, that is how I started this business. Some of you listening might be a Profit First professional. I worked really close with Ron when I started this business. How can I help your Profit First professionals sell more services at premium fees? And that's what I did. And then I got to go to ProfitCon a couple times, or Dominique Molina at Certified Tax Coach, presenting and teaching sales and helping them sell more tax plans. So you can help taxpayers reduce the amount of money they're paying the government and put that extra money in your pocket. And still to this day, we have a great relationship, and I'm always learning and teaching her clients the sales. So if you're an EA or CPA, that's a great place to go learn high-level tax planning. Or with Eric Green at Tax Rep Network. Works with all tax resolution specialists, EAs, and I was in Vegas at his event, and I went all in. So my approach was going more all in with text messaging and phone numbers and communicating and connecting in person through events. So that was the approach I did. Unlike the Health Coach King, CPA, maybe he didn't do events. He was working more in the online area. So through their Facebook groups. It's a great way to connect, and it's a great way for you to be the expert in that area and serve and help so many people that truly need you. So I recommend you open up your calendar right now and you block out those 3 20-minute slots right now, because we know if we don't plan for it, it's never going to happen. And if some of you want a little help on how to convert better and put these efforts into play, because we have also helped a few clients with these few strategies as well, just like Ross, he ended up adding over, I think, $10,000 or $18,000 now monthly recurring revenue to his bookkeeping practice. He sold his house in the United States. Him and his wife and his kids travel all over the country to different countries remotely, running his practice 100% virtual. And it's possible for you too. So if you feel underpaid, overworked, hey, might want to listen for one more minute, because no matter what's happening in your firm, it is 100% possible to work with higher paying clients, fewer PITA clients, work fewer hours, and get paid way more money, just like Health Coach King CPA did, just like Ross has, or any other clients that we've worked with. And I know it's all around you that firm owners work long hours and they have to take on all these clients. And then they scratch their head and wonder why they're working so hard and burnt out 14, 18-hour days, and then not having really anything to show for it and never going on a vacation. And here at the Abundant Accountant, that is not how we do things. You can create the firm you have always wanted, just like the king of Health Coach CPA, or just like Ross did, and creating a virtual firm, selling his house, and traveling to different countries, and basically being a digital nomad with his family. And you can bring in the income you desire and choose the clients that you truly want to work with, which is Katie's step number one. You have to choose. You have to, who is your who? I call it ideal client. Great. Who is that person? And then you get to spend the most time with the people you love. So if you want support on making this happen and having your dreams come true and having transformational results in your firm, then head on over to theabundantcall.com. And myself and my business partner look forward to connecting with some of you. Once again, theabundantcall.com. Thank you so much for being here with us today on the Abundant Accountant Podcast. It was an honor to be here, and we'll see you in the next episode.